Hi guys, and welcome to this evening's Dram and a fly. So what I'm going to tie for you is the unsinkable sedge. Now I've got the camera kit set up because I'm doing a live demonstration tomorrow, and I just wanted to go through some bits and bobs with the tech and hope that it all goes okay. So what's the dram, you might ask? So I've got the bottle here. It's a bottle of Dalwhinnie. It's a single Speyside malt, and it's a 15-year-old bottled at 43%. Now, you can add water to whiskey if you like. At 43%, I generally don't bother, so I've got a nice glass of whiskey to be going on with. So let's just see how we're doing with this. I'm not very sure of the tech, so it's interesting just to see how people are getting on with it. I hope it's okay. If the sound's okay, if somebody could let me know, and if the picture's okay, somebody might be able to let me know. So my desk's a little cramped at the moment with this. I'm going to try. Hello Chris, thanks very much. Can you see and hear me okay? That's not working. Okay. Bear with me. Docs. Chat. Chris Keith is on as well. Excellent. Well, the two Chris's are on at least, so I suppose, unless you're whiskey drinkers, I'll not drag out the whiskey, which is actually very nice. So I'm going to just stick that over in the corner, and I'm going to change over to the split screen. So hopefully now you can see the hook in the vise, and you can see my little mug up in the top right hand corner. Now bizarrely, I thought I would do this about 20 minutes ago, so I've set it up for tomorrow evening for the Ludlow Flying Club, and I just thought, you know what, while I've got it all set up, I might as well come in and go live on YouTube and hopefully show you this fly. Now, it's a fly I've tied for the channel in the past, and I was up at the River Wye at the weekend, and it scored big time for me. It was my best fly, so I just thought it would be worthwhile taking you through it again this evening. My vise looks pretty grim in this. I'll probably need to give it a little scrub. So the hook looks in focus to me. I hope it's all in focus for you, and we'll make a start to the fly. So the hook I'm using for this is a Hanak 130 BL. It's size 14. Now you can go down to size 18 with this fly. It's a bit pernickety, but it can be really worthwhile. I like to use it as a straight dry as well as a dual fly, and we'll see why shortly. So the thread I'm going to be using today, it's a Semperfi Nano Silk. It's at 12/0, super thin, and as you can see here, it's a kind of off-green olivey colour. As always with the Nano Silks, I'm going to just get a touch of super glue. Now I'll stop every now and again to have a read of the comments and answer any questions that might be getting asked, except those questions that might pertain to a certain competition that I had a couple of weeks back. But any other questions concerning the fly or the whiskey, please do feel free to add. It's a very sturdy hook, Steve. Sturdy. Somebody said to me, why do you keep putting a stubby hook in your vise? It's not stubby, it's sturdy. There is a massive difference. So a stubby hook. I like that though, quite funny. So what I'm going to be using here is, this is a bit of snowshoe, and I got this from Troutline many years ago. It's lasted me well, and it's been dyed olive. Now I'm going to hold it up as close as I can at the camera. So I've used all these long hairs for various dry flies, but what I'm finding now is this stuff that's in the sort of middle of it, I'm pulling that out and I'm starting to use it on the body of my flies. So I've grabbed out a little pinch of it, and I'll just show that up to the Vice camera so you can get a good look. It makes an excellent dubbing. It's got really good flotation properties. So I'm just going to dub my body on. Doesn't take much. And then I'll just dress that up to the hook. I'll come round all the way to the back, and then I'm going to come up the shank of the hook like so. Now I'm going to leave quite a considerable amount of room at the front, and you can see that that's looking pretty good. The next thing I want to do is, like I say, I've done this offhand really, and I've not got anything ready. My bad, but it's all good practice for tomorrow evening, which I'll be much more prepared for, I might add. So I've taken a couple of CDC plumes out of the bag. Now these are natural CDC plumes. They were sent to me kindly by Phil Thomas, who's an avid shooter, and he gets a lot of duck in the right season, and he kindly sends me a bag. So what I've done is I've taken two feathers and I've simply married up the tips. Now what I want to do is, once I've got them tips married up, I'm going to dress it up to the fly, and I'm going to show it up. Now I don't really want it protruding much past the body of the fly. So that looks about right. I'm going to, just over my waist bin, I'm going to take away a little bit of that, and then I catch in that end. That looks not too bad. I'm going to just get my thread down so I can add a little bit of wax. Now the wax is to hold in material more than anything else. Good evening, Andrew. I hope you're enjoying a glass of whiskey yourselves. If you're not, unlucky. So the next thing then is there's 3 wings to this fly, and the next thing is I'm going to come back to my snowshoe that I started out with earlier, and what I'm looking for is there's some real, I'll show it up this side, it's really rough, kind of like a dry fly type stuff. If you've not used snowshoe, I would encourage you to try and source some. It's a great material. You can do all sorts of stuff with it, but if I show you that, that's far too much material, but you get the idea of how buggy and wingy it is, and this is going to help represent the wings. So as I say, I'm going to bring that over the top. That looks about right. I can then come in, take in away that chunk. I've waxed my thread already, so I can come in and catch that bit in, like so. Just titivate that up a bit. Now suppose if this live stream was to go on to like 9-10 o'clock at night, the fly is going to look nothing like this, if you know what I mean. So if you're in early, you're catching the good stuff. Charlie, I am going to do that. So what Charlie's asked is, am I going to make a video about my favourite boobies and methods and lines to use them? And I certainly am, but I think this time of year we're kind of talking about fishing the upper layers of water, and fishing a booby for sunken lines. It's pointless really until the high summer comes. I might get a chance later in the year when if we get a summer, of course. It's been pretty drastic so far, but if a summer comes along, I'm more than happy to do a video with the boobies and the lines I use to facilitate that. Scottish and don't... You've just not tried the right one, Andrew. Few beers in Cyprus. Well, I'm sure the summer out there is a lot better than what we're getting in this country. So, anyway, let's get back to the fly. What I've got here is some a nice patch of elk hair, and as you can see, I'm about through it now. But you don't have to just use elk hair for this part. And I like elk, but I use some deer hair on times. This gives it a much darker appearance, but on this occasion we'll just stick with the elk. Now, sorry, I'm just off camera a bit here. I'm going to take a little bit of that. Now, before I put it into the stacker, what you've got to do with deer hair, elk hair, any of that, is get your comb through it. Yeah, get all that underguard fur out, because if you try and stack it while it's still got all this gunk in, it won't stack properly. So I'll just feed that into my hair stacker. I don't know what's possessed me actually to tie this fly, because when you stack hair, 8 times out of 10 I'll pull it out and the tips won't appear. So it's a bit of a pain in the arse, but we'll give it a go. So here we go, the moment of truth. Oh well, there we go, that's 2 out of the 10, it's worked. So I'm going to grab the tips of that, and what I'm going to do next is just any of the sort of dead ends that you see in there. So sometimes a cut end will get in, you want to just remove them. And again, before I do anything else, I'm going to just catch in a little bit more wax, and then I'm going to dress up my elk hair to the fly. That looks okay. Now obviously, depending on what size you're going down to, will depend on how much of a wing you want showing at the end. So I'm just going to take over my waste basket that away. Now this is not tricky. All you've got to do is keep your fingers really firmly onto the hair, and then keep it on top of the shank. The first turn's just a pinch and loop. Second turn, you're catching it more in. And then as I'm coming through, I'm coming down through them cut ends, and I'm going to stop there for a second. Just turn your way. That's looking not too bad. Now, I'm going to break the elk hair by just pushing it forward. That's going to make it lie more down on top of the fly. I think it looks a lot better on my side than it does yours. I blame the whiskey for that. But there we go. So that's looking how I would like it. So let's have a wee look. Yeah, you know what? I've tried lots of different hair stackers, and this is the only one I kind of seem to be able to get to work. But when I was at the BFFI this year, there was a tire. I think it's David Muir. I can't quite remember his name, but he showed me a stacker which he'd made himself, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have one of them. But it was 120 quid, and I thought, I don't quite have that amount of money on me. But I think this year, when I go back to the BFFI, I might indulge and treat myself to a new stacker. So this is the one I'm using, is the C&F one, which is none too expensive on its own. So the next thing then is, if I wanted to finish the fly, I would simply grab some more of my snowshoe dubbing and I would dub it on and finish off the fly. But as you get older in life, sometimes you'll find it quite difficult to locate such a small fly onto the as soon as it hits the water. I want to be able to see that fly, because when your fly first hits the water is your best opportunity for a trout to come and take your fly. And if you've not located it, you might just see a splash and you've missed the opportunity. So what I do is I use some of this stuff. Now this is Arrowwing, the pink. Now it might work for you that orange is best, or any other colour, black. Some people like black for the contrast. I see pink quite well. So what I'm going to do is grab some of my pink Arrowwing. I'm going to dress up to the fly. Now I want the Arrowwing to come much longer than the wing of the fly itself. So I'm going to dress it up, and I'm going to catch that in. Now once I've caught it in, I'm going to just chase it up with the other end. And once I'm content it's caught, I'm going to come down on it quite firmly. I'll just pull this all through, and I'm going to get a couple of turns in front. Then keeping hold of this, coming up with my snips and remove that excess. Good evening, Derek. Hi, Stuart. Steve, mad for salmon. You'll not catch any salmon with this fly. It's liable to bend right out, Steve. When stacking, try this. On the last tap, I don't quite understand that. Up 2 to 3 millimeters. You slide it out at an angle. Works every time, and I've seen that. So that the hair itself, all the tips come into one corner. That's not a Barbie fly. No. This is a real fly, Stuart. It's a real fly. Derek, I'm looking forward to it as well. If I can just get my act together and get a few packs of different flies. I seem to be busier than a dog with two tails of late, and I wasn't so well today, so that didn't help. But I'm feeling much better now. Just a bit of a dicky tummy. So the reason I've left the wing post, the sighter that long, is I want to be able to come in and grab it to trim it. If you cut it, if you're a bit tight and you try and just tie in the post, you'll have real trouble separating your elk hair wing with your sighter. So if you've got it like this, you can come in and simply take away the excess. So what you've got to note about this fly is it's on a very light hook, the Hanak 130. It's very light. It's designed for the rivers. I would never take a fly like this onto the reservoirs. It just wouldn't survive contact. But fishing with a 2-weight or a 3-weight line, you're going to be absolutely fine with this. Hi, Steve. Pull it. No, yeah, it's a dry fly, mate. You've got to just cast it and then hopefully a fish will come. I went to Cluedo last Friday, Sam, but I couldn't get a boat. So what I did was a review on a new rod. So hopefully you'll be able to see that week Thursday. Tequila blob is a killer. Tequila blob's a killer all the time, Stuart. How many flies do you tie in a session? Chris, this session, it's going to be 1. So, sorry Chris, I think you probably mean if I'm sitting down just tying flies. I'm not a big batch tyer, so what I'll do is I tend to tie maybe 3. Unless I'm on a mission, I'll tie 3, I'll get bored, I'll tie something else. But if I'm on a mission, I've got a little hobby box that I've been working away at since I came back to Scotland. Actually, I've been filling this box here with buzzers, and I'm doing quite well with that. I think that might be the most flies I've tied for myself in a sitting. I think, what is there? There's maybe about 40 there now, and that's taken me about 4 days. It's sort of, you know, tying a couple, putting them in the box, drying. With the buzzers, there's a lot of, you know, the tying takes no time at all. It's the varnishing and the finishing that takes the time with them. So we're nearly done with this, and I'm nearly out of whiskey, so I've got to finish the fly before the whiskey's finished. So the last thing, again, we're going to come back to our dubbing, the snowshoe here, and I'm going to grab a little bit off that. Now, if I can, I want to catch in some of these longer guard hair fibres in at the head here. So I'm just going to mix that up, and you'll see it better once I bring it up to the vise. We've got quite a few of them guard hair bits in. So I'm going to just get as much as I need. I'm going to just creating a little dubbing noodle here. I'm going to dress that up. Keep everything back out the way. And then I can come over. Now just tidy that up a wee bit. And to just secure the fly at the end, rather than not having to come in and add super glue or varnish or whatever to finish the fly, I'm simply going to add a touch of super glue to my thread. Find my whip finish tool. Just secure that, and then I can come in with my scissors and take it away. Now, just to tidy everything up a little bit, I'm going to come in with my Velcro brush. Try and pull out some of them longer hairs. And that's looking pretty good. Now I call this the unsinkable sedge, and what I used to treat it with was Hunt's Original, and then I would allow it to dry and I'd be ready to go. So as soon as I hit the river, there's no time wasting, it's straight on the cast and it's fishing. But what I've started to do now is I've got this little thing. It's like a hook store. It's got a little magnet in. So what I do is I take the fly out the vise, and then I just stick it in there. So it'll sit in there until I've got 5 or 6, but I'm not tying 5 or 6 tonight. And then I'll add some of this stuff. I picked it up at the Irish Fly Tying Fair. Sorry, the Irish Angling Show. Not another glass. No, that's my tap stopped. And basically, I like to get 5 or 6 in because I don't want to waste any more of this. Give it a little squirt, couple of squirts, and then I completely soak the fly. I'll put it back in the vise so you can see it. Now, it'll just look like a drowned rat at the minute, but the idea is that once it's dried, it becomes hydrophobic. And I have tried this now. When Peter was describing it to me, I was kind of thinking, I'm not so sure. But here's what it looks like now. And it just looks terrible, doesn't it? All wet and sodden like that. But once it's dried, it just goes back to how it looked when I tied it initially. And it floats like a cork. It needs no treatment, nothing. It just floats. Once it does get wet, the Hunt's Original powder, it keeps it going all day. Now, unless I lose it up a tree, which is frequent, I've got a fly that's working really well all day. Now, it'll be taken as a single dry, or it will be taken when I fished it with a duo. And when I was up at the Y, I started off on duo, and then slowly but surely, as the fish started sticking their head up, I simply removed my dropper from the bend of the hook, and I was fishing straight dry, and that took plenty of fish as well. Let's just have a wee read through some of the comments. Well, I can go through 50 flies in about 4 hours. As can I, Stuart, depending on how many trees are over the river. Yeah, I've not been live on YouTube for a while, Stuart. It's something I should do more of, really, because I quite enjoy it. You know, I like the crack with a chat online, but I've just, you know, I've got my laptop on my tying bench now, which is taking up the bulky area where I have all my fly tying stuff. So I'm really only able to tie one fly at a time. But I should do it more. I need to come up with a better solution to doing it. I have been looking into going live on TicToc and going live on Instagram and all the rest of it, but it seems that you need different kinds of tech knowledge, which I don't have the time to look into, to be perfectly honest, so YouTube's the easiest way for me. Watch the beetle pattern you did. If you turn that pearly back onto the bottom, that would give the fish a chance to see the flash. Yeah. Yep, Stuart, I would agree to a point, but if I turn one of them cockabundy beetles over, there's no flash on it. The flash is only on the top. On the bottom, it's very dark. It's a dark insect, and that's what we're trying to imitate, is the food item. It's not like an orange blob. James, missed of you said you were going to Cledog on Friday off the bank. Yeah, so last Friday, so kind of obviously the videos that I make, I don't make them that day and then upload them. You know, that they're made weeks in advance, the videos, and so the Cledog one, which is a rod review actually, it'll be out a week Thursday. And what you'll watch, I hope, this Thursday is the final of the Kit Kat Cup. So I'm looking forward to that. It's been a fantastic series. I really enjoyed the outtakes on the leaving one. It was, I think I've watched them myself about 5 times. It just gets me belly laughing. Such great fun. Jock's an absolute legend. Derek, I hope so. And if I don't, see plan B. A tying session. Oh, you mean a session and tying? The flies wouldn't look very bonny, Stuart, at the end of that, I don't think. But I don't know. Sometimes when all the cameras are switched off, and it might be a Sunday afternoon, is usually the time, between about 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll sometimes come in and I'll just sit and tie flies for the pleasure of it, and that's hence where the boxes come from, the box of buzzers there. I do love tying. I find it very relaxing. I don't stick heavy metal music on, which I love, but not for fly tying. I'll listen to classical music or something else, you know, just something quite relaxing. And I don't know how you feel about it, but fly tying can be quite therapeutic. Hi, Benjo. You're on about the flies. Thanks, Stuart, because you don't want to see me on the whiskey. Hello, Mario. I dare say you're not enjoying whiskey, but tequila. Great to see you, pal. Right, that's me through the comments. I'm nearly through the dram. I wonder if I could have one more and tie another fly. What do you think? Would you like another fly? I need to go and find some stuff, but I could probably do one. Nature documentaries. Yeah, so I sometimes have YouTube on in the background, and there's things like drone flights over Norway or drone flights over Austria, beautiful places, and they play like relaxing piano music. I quite like watching that. So let's take this out of the vise. and see if we can, in fact, let's see if I can't tie a fly with what I've got in front of me, which is not a great deal. Alright, just bear with me 2 seconds. I'm going to use the same hook. Let's put this in the vise. And I'll go back to the split screen. Now, what I'm going to do is, just excuse me 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be 2 seconds. Well, another fly. Derek, you're a man after my own heart. Top up your glass. Now, I've had enough of the Dalwhinnie. I think I'll put that back up. And I'll have another wee tot out of this. So this is a single grain whiskey. It's a 31-year-old. It sounds impressive, but single grain whiskies are not that expensive, rest assured, or I certainly wouldn't be drinking it. Now this one's bottled at 46.3%, so it can take a little bit of water if you wanted to do that. I need to get a better system for my whiskey actually, because what I tend to do is open one and then I don't get to try all the other ones. So again, you can see it's finished in a sherry butt. It's a lovely dram actually. So the materials I grabbed there, just while I was off camera for a second, was I've got some Coq de Leon from Troutline, and again some of Troutline's stripped quills. I've got the bag of CDC I was using earlier, and what I'm going to do is try and tie another dry fly for you. So I'll just use the thread I was using. Again, I'm going to just get a touch of super glue onto the shank of the hook. Now, because I've not prepared this, I did expect to be finished by now, to be perfectly honest, but another fly won't hurt, will it? I need to get some, so nano silk, it's got many good properties, but one of the worst things is it blunts your scissors really quickly, which is a bit annoying. So I'll just grab my tailing fibres out of the packet here. So Coq de Leon here, which is what I'm using. It's a very fine tailing fibre. It's really good for this kind of fly. So I'm going to take 3 or 4 plumes from that, and I want it to be about the length of the shank of the hook. I'll catch that in. Now, as I come to the end, I'm going to get a loop underneath the tail and just grab that into place. That's looking okay. Actually, I can see it much better on the screen than I can at the vise. But so let's trim that up. Let's just have a wee looky. Jack Daniels Tennessee Honey. Derek, that's hogwash. I wouldn't have cleaned my toilet with that stuff. What's your favourite bottle of Bell's? Benjo? I can block you, you know. I can block you for that. There's too many whiskies and no enough time. Stuart, the trouble is, whiskey, what happened? Whiskey got popular and the prices went through the roof. It was shocking. So even stuff, so one of my favourite tipples over the years was a whiskey called Aberlour Abuna, and it's a cask strength whiskey. Usually comes in about 57, 58%. Lovely it is. And that used to be able, able to be caught on Amazon for like £38, £40, which was excellent value for money because it was a top dram. But then, when prices went through the roof, you were starting to pay £80 to £90 a bottle of whiskey. It's just ridiculous, and hence now it is a very special treat. So what I've got now is the stripped Peacock Herald. You can just get Peacock Herald and strip it yourself, of course. And for many, many years, I used to do that, but no more. I can't be bothered, is the honest answer. Life's too short to be stripping Peacock Herald. Just buy it. So I'm just going to take off the thinnest part, and I'm going to catch that in. Tell you what, the more whiskey you drink, the harder this gets. I'll catch that in, and then I'm going to come all the way up. Now this is obviously something I've just pulled out the hat. I'm going to get some extra turns at the eye of ice. And then I'll simply grab the Peacock Herald in my hackle clip, and then I'm going to come up the body with a quill. Now, although I started doing YouTube to try and share the knowledge I had with other people, it has made me a much more conscientious tyer myself, and it's helped me improve things. And I think when you start doing YouTube and you're putting yourself out there, I mean, I don't do this for a living. I'm a civil servant. I do this in my spare time, which I have a little bit of at the minute. But you see other people that are masters at this stuff, and it's absolutely amazing to watch them. I watched Davy McPhail. I've watched some of Barry Orr Clark, Mac Flies. They're just fantastic tyres, and you pick up little tips and tricks. So I'm going back to Phil's bag of CDC. I'm going to take out some of the fibres. Bear with me, it's a wee bit of a mess. As I said, I've got nothing prepared. I'm looking for two longer sort of plumes for this fly, and I'll put what remains back in the bag there. So now what I do need is a little bit of floss. Now I've got some here that I've just picked up. It's at 2/0 and it's a kind of pink floss. I dare say it's not really a fly this that anyone would recognise as anything else, but I'm going to lay it down on there again. I'm quite a fan of the pink. It really stands out to me on the water. When it hits the water, I'm able to see the fly much better. Oh, that's lovely. I got this on a punt actually. It was on offer. I thought, I'll give it a go. It was quite reasonably priced, and I wasn't expecting much, but I'm really pleased with the results. So anyway, I digress. I've got my two CDC feathers. Now what I want to do with these is I want to take out the center strand. So I'm going to grab the very tip of the fly and remove that. I want to take a bit more than that. Sorry, I'll just show you what I'm doing there. So I'm taking it right back, and the reason I want to take that back is I don't want the stalk anything to do with this fly. It's going to be a wing, so I want to get the same sort of length with the other one. Just take that off camera. Not even sure this is going to work actually. Now again, I've got to line up these tips, or what's left of the tip should I say. Now if you were a belts and braces guy, you could probably have used 3 plumes, but I'm going to go with this. I'll get just a loop over, and what I want to do is just make sure that that is split evenly. Then I'm going to bring this back over. It's misbehaving. Maybe a dram and a fly is not the video to be doing live, but never mind. We're here now, let's get on with it. I'm going to get a couple of turns in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get rid of the CDC at the back. Try not to cut a sighter. Just going to get rid of that. And what I'm going to do is bring both the strands back over the top. Right over the eye. Then I can catch that in like so. Now one's come a bit more on the side of the your side actually, and then I'm going to sweep everything back up and then build a little head. And again, before I hit finish, I think I'll come in with a touch of super glue. Yeah, it was maybe an idea not to have tied this fly actually. I should have just stuck to the plan. Stick to the plan, Lindsay. Don't improvise. And then I can come in with my scissors, take that away. And then this bit here, I want to just leave about enough that I'm going to see it. Now it's not turned out great, this one, unsurprisingly. But what we've got is a little spent fly. Now the hook's super light, the body's super light, so it probably will work, but we'll see. Okay, so let's have a looky. So, can't wait to meet you next year. Lintrathen, that's where you're from, Stuart. Well, I need to chat with Jock and see what the score's going to be. I think we are going to do Lintrathen. I think we've not discussed it, to be honest, but I would certainly like to see new fisheries. Lintrathen would be great. I hear it's very beautiful up there. Not enough money for fly tying or for whiskey. Washing line, well, it just depends on the time of year, Stuart. So the washing line, a lot of people think that it's a floating line and you're sort of dangling nymphs and buzzers off it, but a washing line can be fished deep on a DI8. You could have like a booby on the point with 3 buzzers up. It depends on the fishing conditions, if I'm honest. You know, I want to affect catching fish, and I don't really have a go-to, if you like. I'll make adjustments as I go. So as a starting gambit, for example, if I had fished maybe a fast glass with a blob on the top dropper, maybe a cruncher and a muskins, and then a candy floss or a black booby on the point. So you know, it just depends. It depends on where the fish are in the water, and you've got to find that depth before you can decide what your setup is going to be on the washing line. I hope that kind of explains it. It's hard to tell, really, especially after 2 glasses of whiskey and I'm tying flies. But yeah, Liddy, no dubbing on this fly. No, nothing on this. I've made a bit of a hash of it, if I'm honest, Liddy. It's not. It'll probably go straight in the bin, or I'll strip the hook to be reused. But it could have really done with another plume, I think, in the wing. What I want it to do really is to sit right in that surface film with the butt end in under the water. But there we go. So I've still got a little bit of Dram left. Thanks very much if you've tuned in. If you're a member of the Ludlow Club, I'll see you tomorrow. If there's nothing else, folks, I'm going to stop the stream, and I'm glad you tuned in. Oh, hang on, there's a palefrey now. Thanks for the show, Lindsay. Can't wait for the Kit Kat Cup. Jock's home ground eyes. He knows that lake back to front, and which was good because, as you'll see tomorrow, he took me to the fish. Yeah, the sedge is a really good fly. This one's a bit of a mess. I shouldn't have really went off piste and tried to tie something that I'd not prepared or even practiced. So I'm sure I'll do a better job the next time round. Okay, thanks very much, guys, and I'll hopefully see you for the premiere tomorrow night. I think the premiere's going live at 8:30, and Jock and myself will be online to have a bit of crack with you, and we'll see who wins the Kit Kat Cup for this year. Okie dokie. Take care, guys.